Welcome, everyone, to In the Spotlight. Joining me tonight is an artist who is truly a star on the rise. And if you're in the mood for some great country music, this talented cowboy from the great state of Texas, Wynn Williams, he's exactly what you need. Wynn, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. I've been looking forward to this conversation. And I have to say that being from Philadelphia, I can still say the great state of Texas and mean it and be nice about it. Because, that whole Philly, Eagles, Cowboys thing, we set that aside.
Well, it is a great state. I'm hoping I can get up there to your area next year, man.
Well, that's actually one of the things I was going to talk to you about was I did notice you're getting out to more places, and I'm going to come back to that. And I will tell you that I'll be checking your website and your socials because when you're anywhere near Philadelphia, New Jersey, Delaware, which, by the way, huge country music territory around here,
Oh yeah.
when you come anywhere around here, I will be there. And I look forward to that. So, what I thought I'd like to do is kind of start off by turning the clock back just a little bit to a time when, well, actually, music's been part of your life pretty much your whole life, right? In one way or another.
It has. It has.
But what's interesting is you're a student at Texas A&M, and at some point you make a decision that even though music's been a part of your life for your whole life, you're going to now make it your career. So was there any particular moment or event that led to you making that decision to make music your career?
Actually, yes. It's kind of a funny story. It's funny to me. Um, let's see, my senior year at A&M. Well, I guess I kind of started. So I always sang. My whole family is musical. I was in choir for 4 years in high school, and then started playing guitar in high school, and you know, was just like playing little things here and there, little showcases at some Opry shows down here in the DFW area, and then went to Weatherford College for 2 years, uh, where I was rodeoing and would take my guitar and like play at the rodeos, and then a little show here and there sprinkled in. And then I transferred to A&M, same kind of deal. Would just play like a full band show every now and then, maybe an acoustic show. Um, but it wasn't something that was, I never would have thought like, oh, well, maybe I can make a living at this. Um, and then my senior year of Texas A&M, uh, I, let's see, I was thinking about playing some music. I scheduled like my first show for the end of my senior year. I graduated in December. So,
Okay.
um, December of 2016. So I had an internship at Southwest Airlines in fall of 2015. And throughout my college career, I worked jobs, summer jobs, and did other jobs. And the spring semester of my senior year, um, I got a job as a teller at a bank, and I really didn't enjoy the job, but it was just helping me pay my bills. As a matter of fact, it was uh, I was making $10 an hour. They'd cap me at $10 an hour, and I could only work 30 hours a week.
Hmm.
Um, so after taxes, I'm making 250 bucks, maybe 260 bucks. And I'm like, dude, I can go play 1 3 hour show and make 300 bucks. So what am I doing? So anyway, I worked that job from January to I think July or something like that. And it was my senior year. It was the last hurrah, if you will. So I wanted to go on vacation with my roommates, and so we booked a trip to Playa del Carmen, Mexico. And in August, we scheduled it for August. I think in July is whenever I asked my boss for a week off if I could go on this vacation, and my boss said no. And so I called my parents. I'm like, what do you think about this? I really don't like this job. I'm thinking about quitting and just trying like to play music. And I'm thinking about taking out like a $5,000 student loan just so I can pay my bills for the rest of the semester. Don't have to worry about rent. Don't have to worry about, you know, eating or anything like that. I can play music. I can pay my bills. And my parents were very supportive. They were like, look, you have the rest of your life to work. There's always going to be corporate America. It's not going anywhere. You can always go get a job. You're about to graduate, just go have fun, you know?
Right.
And so really that was kind of like the catalyst, if you will, for me making that decision to pursue music. At that point, I had started playing around town, around College Station, Texas, quite a bit. And then I was playing over at Houston, and I was playing up at Fort Worth, and I was starting to kind of play out a little bit. So I was making a little bit of money. Um, but you know, it's not a lot of money, but I'm a college kid paying $280 for rent. So I didn't have, you know, I didn't have a huge responsibility, but um, that was definitely the pinnacle moment where I thought to myself, I'm going to give this a shot.
Hmm.
And if it doesn't work out, I can always go get another job. I can always go get another job. So the song Down in Mexico is about me quitting my job and going on vacation.
Wow. So many things when come to mind as I'm listening to you share that story. But first and foremost, I think there's a life lesson in there, a really big life lesson for people that, the corporate stuff, it'll always be there. I know so many people I've met over the years that kind of jumped into what they thought other people maybe wanted them to do or what they thought they should do, but they really didn't like it. Like you kind of knew early on that teller gig really wasn't what you were all about. It probably didn't quite match the feeling of sitting up on stage and singing to people. But
Yeah,
you
definitely.
you not only did you make the move, but I also think it's awesome that your parents were supportive because that's another piece of it that sometimes can be missing and make it difficult for someone who wants to pursue a career in music or theater or the arts or whatever. A lot of times there may not be necessarily that support mechanism. So that is just fantastic to hear that they supported you and that you were bold enough to make the move. And you really, when you look at it, you made kind of a business decision in pursuing that career, right?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like I said, I took out a $5,000 student loan, and I think it was like, you know, no interest until I graduated, or maybe I got a grace period after that. I can't remember, but at that point, like I was, I'm pretty financially savvy. You know, I I run this career like a business. It has to be. If you spend more money than you bring in, then you're not going to be in business very long. Um, so you know, it's the music business. It's not the music,
Yeah.
you know, fun place. It's a business, man, and you have to allow yourself to get into that frame of mind. And fortunately, whenever I was in college, I was already in that frame of mind. I've always kind of been entrepreneurial. I've always been, you know, interested in investing and you know, just setting myself up for a better life in the future. And um, you know, and fortunately, I have a great support system, starting with my parents. Like you said, you know, offering that encouragement to jump off and take that leap of faith. And now I'm married, and you know, I have a great wife who also supports me. So I've been really fortunate to have that, because not a lot of people do.
Yeah, and you made another great point in there too, Win, and that's great to hear. Like you said, your wife, your family supporting you, but also it is the music business. And I can tell you that there are people that I've talked to who are Grand Ole Opry members, members of the Country Music Hall of Fame, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And one of the things they'll often say is it took them a few decades to realize it was the
Mm,
music business. Like you said, not the music fun, it's the music business. So
yeah.
great that you were able to realize that and take the steps to leverage that earlier in your career. In fact, now we're looking at about 8 years or so you've been doing this full time.
Yeah. I think this is year 8, if I have my math correct. So yeah, man, we're coming up. It's crazy to think that, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, I've been at it for a long time, and I've always too. I've always thought like, and this is kind of a stigma, I guess, but I've always thought, you know, it takes in this business, it takes 10 years to really, you know, some people get lucky, right? You know, some people shoot off in no time at all. And those are probably the guys that don't know about the music
Yeah.
business, but no,
Yeah, they just had a TikTok video that went viral.
yeah, exactly. So, I've been working my tail off for 8 years now, and I've always thought to myself, like, okay, this is going to take 10 years. If I'm willing to make that 10-year investment into my future, into chasing this dream, then let's do it. If I'm not willing to do it, if at any point in time, which believe me, I've had times where COVID was a perfect example,
Mm.
where I've just been super discouraged and asking my wife, like, what am I doing? Am I doing the right things? Asking myself in the mirror, am I doing the right things? And fortunately and unfortunately, there's no playbook or owner's manual or instruction manual on how to do this, but you just have to surround yourself with people that continually encourage you to just don't give up. And like every once in a while I'll get a message on Instagram or whatever from fans, and they're like, hey, keep it up, you're doing well, you're doing good, keep it up, keep going. And man, I think about that often. I think about how lucky I am to be healthy. I think about how lucky I am to be able to chase this dream. And if it takes me 10 or 12 years to achieve the things that I want to achieve, then so be it. But at least I'm enjoying life.
Yeah.
I'm not just sitting behind a desk, doing something that I don't enjoy day in and day out.
No, and there's something to be said for that, Win. And I'll tell you that you're also, from what I've seen on your website, and I'm going to come back to something we kind of touched on in the outset in terms of your touring and going to more places. And you said you might be coming up my way next year. So I've noticed that you're going more around the country and even across the ocean to Europe. So what have some of those experiences been like for you?
Pretty cool, man. Getting out of state is a lot of fun. I love to travel. My wife loves to travel, so fortunately, she gets to come out on the road with me sometimes now. Um, but getting out and seeing new places is always so exciting. Getting into the mountains, getting over to the beaches, doing some of that stuff is a lot of fun. Europe specifically is a pretty unique experience because, for one, they love country music. I kind of imagine it's like the East Coast, the Northeast, um, in that you don't get a lot of country music, like real country music, coming up there often. Um, so the folks over in Europe, they roll out the red carpet for you. I mean, you show up and you are a celebrity. And I kind of tell people it's like it's so here in Texas and in Nashville, you have music 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Over there, they don't have that. So it's a real treat to have live music for one, and two, country music coming over there. So it's a really, really special experience. I've been fortunate to travel to, let's see, um, Italy, France, Germany, Spain, Austria, Switzerland, and I think that's it for now.
Wow.
Um, but all that being said, I love going over to Europe. I'd like to be able to do that once a year. Go over there and play 3 or 4 shows, and then come home and continue touring here in the U.S. And it's such a great market for country music for one, but it kind of goes back to enjoying life. It's like I get to go play music in a place that I want to visit on somebody else's dime. And dude, I mean, what more can you ask for? It's it's
Yeah.
it's incredible.
Yeah, I think when that for what it's worth, like in my opinion, the definition of success is doing what you love to do. And if you get to do it and travel, I mean, that's just taking it to the next level.
Definitely. That's what I tell people all the time. People like to think success is, lots of money and houses and cars and all these material things. But man, success is setting a goal and achieving that goal. It doesn't matter how big or small it is. That's as simple as success.
Yeah. And also I think waking up in the morning and enjoying going to work or enjoying what you do as opposed to dreading it and having to hit the snooze button 6 times.
Yes, yes. Anytime I have to go to the airport, like I go up to Nashville once a month, and I go for about a week at a time. And on those Mondays that I go up there, I always get the first flight out of Dallas, um, and the traffic sometimes, even at that hour, can just be brutal. And I and sometimes I'll call my wife while I'm headed to the airport. I'm like, I'm so glad that you don't have to do this anymore, because she was having to commute to Irving, which I'm not sure if you're familiar with
Yep, a
DFW at
little
all,
bit.
but man, she went from a like a 7 minute commute to a an hour commute just one way. So she doesn't have to do that anymore. And fortunately, I don't have to do that too often. But yeah. So
Wow. Wow. Well, that's awesome. And that I think it's also great too in terms of, you talk about two amazing music scenes, in Texas where you're at in Nashville. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that, especially when it comes to collaboration, songwriters, talent, musicians. I mean, it's just you're going to elevate your game just by being around the best of the best.
yeah, man, you said it. You said it right there. The best in the world are right there in Nashville. So, and the business is in Nashville. So if you want to be in the music business, go where it is.
Yeah, for sure. Well, now speaking of the business, I want to touch on a single that you put out. I guess it was about a month or so ago. A woman can do that to a man. And I read this, I had to find out if this was true or not. I read that the song was actually pitched to you twice. So, what was it about the second time that made you say yes?
So it was actually pitched to me like 2 hours apart. Um, the first one was the publisher, Sony, actually pitched it to me, and I really, really liked the song. Uh, I loved the song whenever I heard it the first time, and I left that meeting and went to a meeting with my producer, and we were kind of just talking about songs that were available, and if just to see if he had anything else like on his computer
Hmm.
that could work. And we were sitting there in the meeting. It wasn't even a meeting. It was just like we were just talking. And he goes, "Man, I've got this song that I love this song, but I haven't been able to get anybody to cut it yet." And he plays it for me, and it's "A Woman Can Do That to a Man." I'm like, dude, I just heard this song. I love it.
Oh,
Not even 2 hours earlier, I
wow.
heard the song. And anyways, and I was like, man, we have to cut this. It has to go on the record. So we did, and it turned out even better than I would have imagined.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those everything happens for a reason moments. I mean, wow, I didn't realize. Okay, like I said, I knew there must have been something there. That's why I had to ask, but that's not what I expected. That's amazing.
Yeah. And you hear stories about that like all the time. I'm blanking um on what song it was, but it was pitched like 3 or 4 times before somebody actually cut it. And I can't remember what it is, but that happens all the time. I mean, you get pitched songs, and maybe it doesn't hit you right the first time, and then maybe you live with it for a little while. It also has something to do probably with like where you're at in life. You know, if some young kid that maybe wasn't married, or on that super steep path to fame and fortune, maybe that's not the right fit for a person. A woman can do that to a man. I mean, so I think it probably has something to do with the timing in your life as well. If you're into that sort of thing, if you just want to cut great songs that you really can't connect to, then that's one thing. I mean, it's a great song, and I'm sure some young kid could do it justice. But that song means something to me because I'm married, and I love my wife more than anything in the world. So it just spoke to me in that moment in time. And like I said, we cut it, put it on a record, and well, we put it out as a single, but it'll be on a record.
Yeah, and I need to ask about that record, but before I do, I just want to comment on something that you just said. Again, I think that you can tell that it comes through musically in your videos, watching you perform, that you love what you do. And I love what you just said too about your wife and your relationship and being where you're at. Again, success on top of success. So I just I wanted to just mention that because it's so refreshing,
Well, thank
to
you.
hear that. Yeah, it
Thank you very
really
much.
is. Now, when it comes to the record, is there maybe a full album in the works at some point, maybe in the new year, or what can we look forward to coming up in the new year?
Yeah, man, we just recorded a bunch of new songs. So the plan is to put out a full length record, my second full length record next
Okay.
year. It'll probably be late spring, early summer if I were to think back on kind of what we've talked about. We don't have a release date yet, but it'll be kind of in that time frame. We're rolling out another single. This is exclusive content right here. Nobody knows this yet.
Okay.
Um, we're rolling out a new single on January 3rd called "Denver to Dallas,"
Hmm.
and that will be on the record as well.
Wow. Well, I appreciate you sharing that because so far everything I've heard I love. So I'm looking forward to hearing the new one. And a question just popped into my head as you're talking about that. What kind of goes into your selection process? I mean, we talked earlier about, being pitched that song twice within a couple hours, but as you're working towards this album and putting everything together, what kind of goes into the process? Is it your gut? Are you looking for certain types of songs? How does that work for you?
Um, you know, some of it has to do with like the song that you maybe need for an album. For example, if you need some tempo stuff that you're going to go out and play at a live show and get the crowd, get their motor running, you need those kinds of things. If you are touring and you're playing live, you need tempo songs. So looking for tempo is always something we're doing, even when we're not technically like shopping out for songs for a record. We're always looking for tempo. So whether we're writing it or if somebody else writes it and sends it to us, we're always looking for that. But my opinion is the best song wins. So when it comes to putting together a record, it doesn't matter. Like all the songs we just cut, they're all outside songs. I didn't play a part in writing any of them.
Hmm.
And in my opinion, it's because you have to put your pride aside and go, well, that song's better than this song. And if this song, or if I wrote this one and this one's better than it, then we need to cut this song because this is the better song. And that's why you have people going up to Nashville to write the best songs. That's why all the songwriters are up there, and the publishers work their tails off trying to get these songs cut. And um, the selection process. I listen to everything that somebody pitches me. It doesn't matter who it comes from. I listen to every single song. I hopefully one day I'll be in a situation where I have too many songs that I can listen to, and I can kind of pass those along, and then we can start to filter through. But at this point in time, I listen to every single song, and if it hits me in a certain way or I like it, excuse me, it hits me in a certain way or I like it, then I'll put it into a folder, a
Hmm.
Dropbox folder of a song that I like, and I'll make a note of who pitched it and that kind of stuff. And then as I start to gather more and more and we start getting closer to recording, then I'll start to narrow things down into like a short list. And then I'll consult with my producer, I'll consult with management. Be like, what do you think about this song? This one's not tempo, but I really love it and what it says, and I think I can sing this every night. And it's kind of involved to a degree, but at the end of the day, you just have to cut great songs. And that's my thoughts on it. I know there's a lot of people that maybe get a chip on their shoulder that they need to be a writer on a song, but that's not important to me. I'd rather cut somebody else's song, and if it's better than mine, 100% I'll cut it over mine.
Yeah, and I like what you just said. That was interesting when you just said, "I think I could sing this song every night." That's an aspect of it too that's really important because it's you got to feel that is something you can do every night. And I don't know that I've really heard it put that way, but that really resonated with me when you said that. That's very insightful. Taking
Yeah.
that part into the equation for sure.
You got to think about it, man. If you don't believe it, then nobody else is going to believe it.
There you go. Bingo. So when I have two last questions for you, and they maybe a little deep, but
Okay.
we'll see where they go.
I've got no problem going there.
Yeah. The first one is, if someone's hearing you or seeing you for the first time, what's something you would want them to know about you?
That I care, that I care. I'm not just, a guy up there strumming a guitar and, you know, partying and drinking and doing drugs or anything like that, which by the way, I drink, but I don't do any drugs. But, I genuinely care about people that spend their money to come out to a live show. Um, and I guess I'm interpreting your question from a touring aspect. I'll answer it.
It's whatever aspect you want to answer it.
Yeah, well, if somebody hears it on the radio or whatever, that's one thing. I think that they'll gather that my music is very reminiscent of that '90s, early 2000s country music. It typically there's a message in the song, or there's a story behind the song that's more than just something that we just decided to record. So, but if somebody's coming out to a live show to see us play and they've never heard of me, and believe me, it happens every single night. I mean, the vast majority of shows we play, I'm like, how many of you have never seen us before? And like so many people's hands go up, especially when we're opening for people. But I just care, man. I want to be the best. I want to do the best job I absolutely can up there. I want to put on the best show. I want to sing the best songs. And then after the show, after every single show, it doesn't matter how big or small, I go out to the merch table, and I invite people out. If it's your first time seeing us, we've got 30 minutes between us and the headliner. Come over and introduce yourself.
Hmm.
If anything else, just come introduce yourself, because I hope that you'll come out and see us again sometime. And
Wow.
man, a lot of times people will come over and maybe they want a picture, maybe they want to buy a koozie or a t-shirt or something. But in so many cases, people just come up and they're like, "Hey man, just wanted to say hello. You did a great job." And that's the kind of stuff, right, that keeps you going. That's the
Yeah.
encouragement that you need. That's the true, if you're going to get a review on iTunes or Apple Music or whatever, that's one thing. But to sit face to face and shake someone's hand or give them a hug, it's pretty special. So I care. I care about what I do, and I'm so thankful that I get to do it. So it's something that I take very seriously.
Yeah, and I think with that approach, and especially since it's genuine, you're not just creating fans, you're creating friends, and they're going to follow you, and they're going to be loyal, and they're going to be looking forward to your next project and the next time you come to their town. So I think that's phenomenal. And so my last question for you is, looking back now about 8 years into your career, what are you most proud of?
Uh, I think that I'm just proud of how much I've grown, just personally. Professionally is one thing, but getting to a place where I can recognize, it's so easy to get caught up in wanting the next thing and the next thing and the next
Hmm.
thing. And believe me, I'm always looking for the next thing. Um, but on a personal level, just being there's this quote, I can't remember who said it, but I heard it on a podcast, on a Joe Rogan podcast, actually, of all things. Um, and it's about the pursuit of happiness.
Hmm.
Like, I can't remember exactly what it was, but kind of paraphrase, it's like, you know, it's great to be in the pursuit of happiness, but it's better to be happy in pursuit. And whatever you're pursuing,
Wow.
just be happy. It's like whatever you're pursuing, wherever you are, it's you're supposed to be there in that moment for a reason. And that may mean that there's 10 doors that slam close in your face
Hmm.
and all of them are no's. But if you see that for what it is and go, okay, that sucks, but there's a reason, then eventually that door that's supposed to be open is going to open. And if you allow yourself to be happy in the pursuit of whatever it is you're pursuing, then I think that you're better off. I think that your life is so much better and just so much more fulfilling. And if you recognize, again, success, that it's as simple as setting a goal and achieving it, no matter how big or small. If you can do those things, and you can just be happy with where you're at and succeed on a daily basis, then I think you kind of got it made. And if you get to do something that you enjoy every day, and you don't dread going to work, you don't dread waking up on a Monday, man, I'm so grateful that I get to do this for a living, because there's a lot of people that just don't. And if there's things I'm most proud of, it's probably just how much I've been able to grow on a personal level.
Wow. Well, Wynn, I have to tell you, I appreciate the depth and thought that you put into those answers. And it's a reminder to me, as we're having this conversation, as to why I love doing what I do and having these conversations, because it's conversations like this that keep me going. So I want to thank you for that, because I've heard your music. I've read different stories and different things about you, but that you don't get to know someone until you have the conversation with them. And that's why I think it's such a great idea for you to invite those people to come over to meet you, shake your hand, say hello. I am so grateful that I had the opportunity to have this conversation with you here. And the last thing I'll say is, when you do come up here, I look forward to meeting you in person, shaking your hand, and picking up some merch.
All right. Well, I don't have any dates for you, but we did was signed with CAA, excuse me, with CAA, which is a big agency out in Nashville. And
oh, I saw that.
And we should be. Thank you very much. We should be getting out of state quite a bit more this next year, which I'm really excited about. And we love. So I've spent a little bit of time in Boston, Massachusetts, which I love. So if Philly or anywhere in Pennsylvania is kind of like that, then
it's much better. No offense to my friends in Boston.
How did I know that was coming?
It's much better.
No, but I would love to get up to the Northeast, man, and even out to the West Coast, like California and the Pacific Northwest. We haven't gone quite that far yet, so I'm really looking forward to that opportunity next year. And then, and for the past 2 weekends, I've gone out to Florida and played a couple things, and really love it down there. So I'm really excited about next year. I think that touring wise, we're going to be seeing a lot of new places. We're going to have a new record out. We just got a lot of great things going on, and I'm so fortunate and so thankful to have all this going on. And I'm thankful to guys like you for allowing me to be in the spotlight.
Well, I really appreciate that. And it has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you, having this conversation, looking forward to big things for you, not just in 2025, but well beyond that too as well, Wynn. So appreciate your genuineness, your authenticity, and your talent. And I thank you so much for joining me here in the spotlight. And folks, I thank you for watching. Couldn't do this without you. See you next time.
Seems like the whole world's lost its mind and nobody's seeming to find it. All wound up tight with no way to unwind that 8-ball, we're all behind it. There's self-help books and snake oil crooks to keep you from flipping your lid. But I've learned the best way to keep my head on straight is the same way my daddy did. Who needs a couch in some freak's office when you got a stool in a bar? Who needs a pill from a plastic bottle when there's still some shine in a jar? As long as they're straight on the radio, some good-looking girls on the dance floor, man, that's good. on a hook and a line in the water's always food for the soul. A little front porch picking on an old flat top can bend